속이 예모下的孤寂
Shalom and good day all, this is Healing29 back again for another anime review. This time I'm covering something that is called a donghua, in which is basically a Chinese animated series in English. So I'll go by each of the, I'll cover each of the episodes and also the synopsis of each episode. And after I give the synopsis of each episode, I'll talk a little bit about each episode. To which, for the anime that I'm covering today, is the daily life of the Immortal King, as this centers around a boy with extraordinary powers, and he tries to come across as basically an ordinary kid, and to add insult to injury, it doesn't quite work out in his favor until he experiences some different things that occur in his life. So, moving into episode 1, it's called a boy with an extraordinary magical powers tries to pass off for average at his new high school, where the students learn to cultivate their spiritual force. Now, with this particular episode, we do get a little a bit of a background. So we basically see the start of what leads to this series and who this kid is a little bit later on within the first episode. So with the place where he lives, it gets invaded by like a spiritual related type frog that invades the city. Of course, they try to send through a hero, and in the course of event, we see this main kid who is by the name of Wang Ling. He is just a young kid wanting to basically enjoy his chips, until he comes across a situation to which this frog, whilst this hero gets his butt kicked, he comes in and he pulls off some incredible move that knocks out the frog, and in the process, he has to do something to make it look like it was the other person that won against the frog, and in a way protect his own identity. We do learn a little bit more about the character in the next episode, to which, in episode 2, Wang Ling's parents try to help their son live a normal life. Chen Xiao and Sun Rong butt heads. So Chen Xiao is basically someone brought up in a martial arts family, whilst we learned that Sun Rong, who is also like a member classmate of his at the new high school, is also of a higher class family, so a class of nobles of sorts. And we do know that she does have some experience and some teaching behind her in the race to be elected as class president. We also learn in this particular episode that she uses, say, a seduction charm of sorts, only for it to be lifted by something that Wang Ling does. So, jumping into episode 3, and this deals with the episode of like pill refining, this sort of like help characters with their magical skills and powers, and also how they operate. So in this, it's in their pill refining course, pupils are under intense pressure to produce results. Wang Ling and Guo Hao team up to help Chen Xiao. So Chen Xiao being someone who has really wanted to be the best of the best for his family. We do learn that there are some things that happen in his family that sort of like push him to be where he's meant to be. So jumping into episode 4, this then begins to center around the female character of Sun Rong. And in this, Sun Rong attempts her affection for Wang Ling on a special date, unaware that she's the target of a planned assassination. So in this, she does end up taking Wang Ling with her to like a special location, and that sort of means a lot to her. And whilst this is occurring, we get to learn of a group called the Shadow Faction, which are actually brought up in the next episode, or their name is brought up in the next episode, and how they play a part in sort of like wanting to target her in regards to things that they seek to achieve. But this sort of continues to the next episode. So episode 5, with the Shadow Faction threatening Sun Rong's life, everyone in the school must band together to defend her and each other from the top 3 assassins, which the Shadow Faction sends out to basically attack her. In the process, we also get to see how these assassins are taken out, and even some little things to which Wang Ling also does behind the scenes, but again, still trying to make it appear that he's not as top as he's made out to be. So there is sort of like a bit of a consequence. Jumping into episode 6, we have believing Wang Ling is still recovering, his friends pay him a visit at his home to bring a special device that helps reveal surprising information. So this takes place after the events of what happened at the school. It's now believed that he's sort of like in recovery mode, and he's at home, and he's sort of like using this bit of time as recovery, and also how to plan his next steps so that not every one of his powers are revealed. And in this, they sort of like have some devices to put on to show their their supernatural power limit. And of course, when he puts his on, it doesn't actually show his power limit, so they suspect it might be broken. Even though for the ones that worked previously, so it was unable to give an accurate account of his spiritual abilities. Episode 7, the selected represented school in a sword competition. Wang Ling and 4 teammates prepare to confront tough adversaries from rival faction 59. So due to all the numbers and that have been added up, there's now this big event that has to take place between these 2 particular schools and basically their top members as they go up against each other. And whilst these top members, it will continue sort of like in the following episodes in relation to this event. So jumping into episode 8, 9 and 10, we have preparing for the upcoming competition. Wang Ling reconnects with a familiar spirit, to which this familiar spirit is basically connected to a sword that he uses. The Shadow Faction's leader plots revenge against Zhou Yi. Forgive me if I butcher it. Of course, with episode 9 synopsis, Wang Ling and his team arrive at Faction 59 school for the sword competition, where they meet at a confident new competitor and face unexpected dangers. So with these 2 episodes, it's important for them to basically have certain weapons which are used to gain points in a certain event that will take place. And without these weapons being placed in certain spots, which you do learn later on with the rules, it's the only way for them to gain points. So I'll now jump into episode 10. I think when Wang Ling and He Bufeng are abducted by the Shadow Faction just before the competition begins, Sun Rong leads a dangerous rescue mission. So Sun Rong is also basically at their school, or at Faction 59 school, to which this event is being held, and with this, they now must go out of their way to rescue Wang Ling. But in the meantime, he's doing little things as well to sort of like I guess, try to savor those little small moments within the story, but also doing little things to help the other characters in the story. Just as we jump into episode 11, we finally move into the main part of this story, to which it takes place in this competition of sorts between factions 60 and 59, scattered across the vast landscape and racing to claim the magical altar. So these altars play an important part in regards to these characters gaining points, and they have to gain up to 100 points in order to finish the competition and also win the game. So faction 60's team goes up against 59. Jumping into episode 12 and 13, and whilst this is happening and occurring, we have plans being set out by Sun Rong, but also some of the other characters as well, that they need to sort of like overcome the odds. The synopsis for both of these episodes is: with an unexpected help from an ally, Wang Ling discovers a new way to access his power that could turn the tide of the competition. And we learn that the ally that is helping him is actually Froggy/Froggy 2, which is in turn the original frog that was seen at the beginning of the series. But now this frog has been turned into a dog, so hence it's now called Froggy 2. Absolutely crazy, but the story's great. Jumping into episode 13, Sun Rong and Chen Chao face a strong, devious opponents, as these opponents from faction 59 will try to pull off dirty tricks to try to overcome their enemy. The other ones try to, I guess, keep clean and honorable in how they encounter and take on the enemy or I guess the opponent in the story, as they fight through their strategic positions. And you can see that there's a change between the altars and who goes where and what goes where, and also where they suggest where strategically both teams want to set their people who are going to help gain the best points from it as fast as possible. Moving into episode 14, just when faction 60 students begin to believe that they could win, a shocking development stuns especially Wang Ling, to which this particular reveals a scenario to which one of the Shadow faction have managed to slip in and also seeks to kill, or if not cease, the living of Sun Rong, to which it moves directly into the next episode, and we get to see what happens there. And jumping into episode 15, now a number of these episodes mainly roughly take 20 minutes in length. So with the last episode, which is about 21 minutes in length, with a friend's life on the line, Wang Ling makes a drastic move. Sun Rong finds herself in an unusual world. Now, with this one, we have Wang Ling working with Froggy 2, to which Froggy 2 has to sort of like help Wang Ling create or copy a new world. But whilst he's trying to copy this new world, he's trying to find a way to bring back Sun Rong. And we learned that Sun Rong, in where we are presently in this world, is actually in the underworld. And whilst this is occurring, we get to see some of the things that take place in the underworld. We see that there's a princess in the underworld, to which she has a look at Sun Rong and realizes that she's actually compatible with Wang Ling. And in that they discover a way to sort of like bring her back to life, even though at the time she was left dead, or sort of like left in a stasis type mode, only for things to eventually be brought back to the present, but also with a bit of a small hint of being able to reverse time to a certain period, but it does come with consequences. But without these consequences, they're unable to sort of like move forward, or even maybe help redirect to a new location to which things will work in their favor. One of the consequences that would basically affect, I guess, both characters, especially Wang Ling and also Sun Rong, is that by reversing time to a certain time period, they would both lose their memories of sort of like what happened at the future that they were at. So they will have to, in the future, try to avoid those calamities, but that's not to say that more calamities will come. So, jumping into the afterthoughts of this series, to be honest, I wasn't too sure if I was going to like this series or not. I had added it to my list on Netflix, and it was only out of curiosity that I thought, okay, if I'm going to take the time to check out a new Chinese animated story, I know I'd been checking Kingdom on Crunchyroll, and I know that they've also got the rest of the seasons of Daily Life of the Immortal King on Crunchyroll. So I'll probably end up going back to Crunchyroll to watch seasons 2 and 3 of this. But it will probably be a little while before that happens, just so I can catch up with other anime. But with this particular story, I really liked how they shared the backstory as well with Wang Ling. Also, with him learning to start to bring friends back into his circle, where when you watch through the story, the character has become a bit of a loner, and that has sort of like played a bit of a toll on him. And if it wasn't for these friends that actually took the time to help him out and help him to, I guess, socialize better, this outcome of the story might not have actually happened. I must admit, it's really well thought out, and I really like how the story's gone so far. I definitely want to check out season 2. Seeing the first season has 15 episodes. I think the second season has 12, and maybe same with the third. I could be incorrect on that. So now's the next thing that I need to move into, and that is the area of the rating. First off, main characters. Oh my goodness, who would I see as the main characters in this? I'd have to say one of the teachers, that's definitely for sure. So I forget the name of the teacher that wants to always see Wang Ling as basically his sensei, or his teacher or his master. He was funny throughout the series, but he was definitely there sort of like as, I guess, a bit of a laugh character. But then we end up meeting Sun Rong, Chen Long, and the other characters, Chen Chao, and how they play a part in Wang Ling's life. And I guess in some part they're half and half, sort of like half main character, half supporting character. And then there's, of course, Wang Ling himself, to which we learn so much about his past, as well as things as they move into the present, to which his present is being held at this particular school, and also some of the events that are taking place there. So for the characters, for the main characters, I give an 8.5 out of 10. Yes, it's quite high. Supporting, many of the supporting characters would probably be Of course, some of the teachers, some of the less spoken of students, for them I would give an 8 out of 10. Then there's moving into the area of the soundtrack, which I give an 8 out of 10. Next is the area of the animation, to which I give an 8.5 out of 10. I did actually quite like the animation, and it was very consistent throughout the whole series. Not much was really changed in it. About the only minor changes probably would have had to do when it was reaching like towards the end of the first season, to which you get to see how a lot of Wang Ling's powers actually work in this world. So an 8.5, no, I'll stick to 8 out of 10 with it. It might end up going to 8.5 in the next season. So last but not least, the story for this. If it's one thing about this story, I wouldn't mind picking up this I wouldn't mind picking this story up as a manhua, basically in Chinese comic format in English, so I could read it for myself and enjoy it for myself. I do like the characters, and I'd also like to see where the story goes. And with it, it just goes to show that there is just some stories out there that just don't compare to some of the trash that can sometimes be out there. If you happen to be someone who has also watched this series, I don't care where you are, first season, second season, third season, I even know that there's a fourth season out there. Maybe tell me what your favorite season is, and maybe who your favorite characters are. Well, until then, let's keep it colourful and have yourself an awesome day.
穿梭于夜幕下的孤寂，俯瞰着星色匆匆的步